Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping on this video. This video is all about the Table Topics Evaluator role, and you're going to catch a live example of me taking on that role at my local Toastmasters club. My name is Wade Patterson, and my YouTube channel is all about impactful communication, it's right there, and helping you become a better, more powerful communicator. Communication is something that's so important in every area of life. Therefore, if that's something you want to improve upon, please consider subscribing to my channel. Every subscriber helps me take one step closer to investing more time and resources into this channel, so it would mean a lot if you hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, turn on notifications so you never miss one of my videos. So I've done a few of these live example videos hauling my camera into my local Toastmasters club to show you how I take on these various roles. And these are raw footage. These are things where I hit the record button, and pretty much every time I do, I'm uploading these videos. Therefore, I get to analyze them and sit down with you and kind of judge what did I do well and what did I not do so well, and talk about that, because this is the point of public speaking. It's practicing, it's honing our skills, getting better and better. And so in this video, I take on the Table Topics Evaluator role. So let's take a look at how I did, and then we can discuss afterward.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters in person and on Zoom. Today was a wonderful table topic session filled with lovely anecdotes where we learned a lot about each other. And I'll leave the full evaluation of the Table Topics Master to the General Evaluator, except to say two things I noticed. Fantastic thought-provoking questions from Sue, and Sue also transitioned really well, which is a very good skill, being able to take an answer that somebody gives, turn that into the next question while adding some commentary on that. So fantastic job by Sue. Kim was the first person who had the opportunity to answer a question, and her body language was fantastic. Right away, she said, "Do I choose health? Do I choose money? Which one?" She answered the question directly. She gave a very good reason. If you take too many risks with your health, you can't really enjoy any money along those lines. Fantastic job by Kim. No gifts for her. Next up was Dan, and it sounded like early the wheels were turning in his head, so he did a very smart tactic. He asked to repeat the question, or he repeated the question, bought himself a little bit of time, and then he fell into the flow where he was able to answer. Strong eye contact Dan had, not only with the room, but he also included Zoom often throughout delivering his answer. My gift for Dan is something that we like to call the invisible table. His arms stayed at 90 degrees and above. It's a very common thing we do as speakers. We keep our hands like this and we don't let them drop to our side, but it is more impactful if you can let them drop to the side and then bring them up when needed. Next up was Yazzie, and she started her answer with a little bit of humor. Jumping, it's not for me. Got the audience laughing, which was a fantastic start. She summarized the question as well. My gift for Yazzie is to include the rest of the audience with eye contact. A lot of the answer was being looked at the Table Topic Master, which was Sue answering her directly. You want to include the full audience and the members on Zoom. Next up was myself. I completely avoided the question, a tactic I use very often, and turned it my own way. No comment there. Wendy had a question. Would she rather swim with the sharks or be a presenter on Shark Tank? Wendy has this incredible mix of confidence and calmness. She comes in authoritatively and gives her answer with that vocal variety, which she utilized so well. Toward the end of the answer, she made a loud noise to get our attention, and then concluded by bringing her voice down, which really drew us in. And body language was effective throughout, talking about the number one choice, showing that number one. Next up was Jeff. Jeff, I hope this situation goes okay. I mean, fascinating answer, but wow. I mean, you drew us in with that real life situation. Hope everything's okay there. My one gift, Jeff, for you is while you were thinking and speaking, you did look up above that camera. This is incredibly common that we look up or we look down while we're thinking. It's something to be mindful of. If you can look directly at that camera as you deliver the answer, it keeps the audience engaged. Margaret was the next respondent, and she took a minute to collect her thoughts, but then you almost saw the light bulb moment go off when she realized what she was going to talk about and got right into her comfort zone. There was a great use of body language, talking about biking, using those pedals, physically showing us, helps us engage with the story. The gift I have for Margaret is the hand movements early. So there was some of this and then some clasping. Be mindful of those hands, keep them to your side. Next up was Moya, and Moya has this ability to take a table topics answer and make it sound like a speech. So well structured, and she comes up with enthusiasm. When I am asked a question, I take my sweet time walking to the stage as I really think about what I'm going to talk about. Not Moya jumps out of her chair, runs up here, and then delivers an answer as if it's a rehearsed speech. I mean that in the nicest of ways, that it's so well formed. I'm going to give you a very picky gift, Moya, and that is very briefly, as you jumped in and you were speaking, quickly you looked up at that ceiling, then you looked down, and I was hoping I'd be able to call you on the rest of it, but you eliminated. It was just in that moment you were thinking, something to be mindful of. That's an incredibly nitpicky gift. And very similar response for Sue. Again, that enthusiasm. You have no time. Sue had no time to walk up to the stage. She was already here, got her question, and right away jumped into an answer, made it sound like something she had prepared. It's that smooth, that well done. My gift, same as Moya, brief look at the ceiling and the floor early on. This is incredibly common to collect the thoughts, something to be mindful of. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. You saw me take on that long evaluator role. There was a lot of table topics questions in that meeting. Let's break down what I did well first, and then we could talk about areas I could have improved right after that. The first thing I did well really early on was incorporating the word of the day. At Toastmasters meetings, the grammarian always presents a word of the day, and it should always be a good challenge for you to try and use that word. One thing I like to do, little strategy, is use the word up front in the first couple sentences. That way I know I've done it, and it's almost like checking off that box. All right, use the word of the day. In that meeting, it was anecdote or anecdotal. Therefore, I said, hey, many people shared some interesting anecdotes using the word of the day as part of their table topics answers. That was one relief. Then I don't have to worry about using the word later on. That was something I did well. The second thing, I don't know if I'd say that I did this well, but it's almost a pet peeve of mine, is that the table topics master, whoever is reviewing that person, there seems to be a bit of a gap because you have the table topics evaluator, but you also have the general evaluator. And the assumption is that the general evaluator will comment on the table topics master. But my pet peeve is that I have been the table topics master a number of times, and neither the table topics evaluator nor the general evaluator has included that role. What I like to do as table topics evaluator is say one or two quick things about the table topics master, but then mention out loud, I'm going to leave the rest of the review to the general evaluator. That signifies that I'm handing it off to them. I'm not trying to steal their thunder and that feedback, but I would rather have two people give feedback to the table topics master than nobody. So that was my strategy in upfront, mentioning a couple things that the table topics master did well. Another thing I thought I did pretty well throughout this table topics evaluator role was mimicking uses of body language that the respondents had done. Therefore, I'm not just saying Kim used great body language. I'm saying Kim used great body language when she said health or money, and I duplicated what she had done through her speech, which acted as a good reminder to the audience. oh yeah, Kim's response was about this. That is a great challenge for you if you're taking on the Table Topics Evaluator role, is not to simply say, this person had great body language, this person had strong vocal variety. It's to actually use an example from their answer, write that down in your notes, and then reference that when delivering your evaluation, because it reminds the audience and it is a more impactful evaluation that's going to stick with the other members of your club. The final thing I'll mention that I think I did decent was notes-wise. I always like to set my notes to the side of me on the lectern. That way I can reference them and then I'm not hindering body language. I'm not hiding behind the lectern. The lectern's to the side. I can glance at my notes, then I can address the audience, make eye contact, and continue with my evaluation. So how could I have improved my task as Table Topics Evaluator? Well, the first thing I could have done is stayed in third person. As evaluators, it's very difficult not to jump between third and second person. And by third person, I mean referring to the speakers by their actual names. Christy did this very well. James could have improved in this area. By speaking that way, you want to keep it consistent without, but the challenge is when you're delivering feedback and the people are in the room, it's very tempting to say, James, you did this very well, and then Christy could have done this better. And by changing that tense, it gets a little bit distracting for the audience. The goal is to stay in third person. I did a pretty good job, but then toward the end, I started saying you instead of the person's name. That is something I'll need to fix for the next time. The next thing I could have improved, and I know I added it as one of the things I did positive in terms of the notes, but I did get caught in a couple times looking down at my notes and talking. The ideal situation is to reference the notes, then look up and continue speaking. If I'm being completely honest, the reason for this, because there were so many table topic speakers, my writing is very messy and I was struggling to read my own notes. So that's my next piece of advice, is write clearly so you don't run into that same problem that I had. So when it came to notes, I did pretty well keeping them to the side, not referencing too often, but where I could have improved is when I was referencing the notes, not looking down and talking and reading them. I should have just got the information, looked up, and then continued with my evaluation. Another thing I noticed that I could have improved on when reviewing my answer is I did this like lip smack thing in between questions where I'd look down and make this tisk sound. And that's something our awe counter has actually started observing, is when we make that type of noise, and usually they call us on it. I wasn't called on it this week, but in watching my answer back, I did notice I made that sound. It's always good to be aware of our own little tendencies or noises that we make. The is one that I'll need to watch for in the future. The final thing I could have improved on in this role was the fact I went a little long on time. Now it gets tricky because there were so many table topics questions. The timer did adjust accordingly, but I still went a little bit too long. So that is something that I can improve on in the future. The overall comments from the General Evaluator was that she thought I did a fantastic job with the evaluation. She had high praise for me, which was very kind, because if I'm going to be honest, I think there were a couple things, maybe I'm being a little nitpicky, but definitely some things I could improve on for the future, but she had positive things to say. If you're thinking of taking on the Table Topics Evaluator role, I really encourage you to do it. This is a great role to really hone your skills as an evaluator. It helps you improve your listening skills and forces you to really pay attention and engage with other people's table topic responses. Best of luck taking it on, and I hope that this video has given you some confidence in order to take on that role. Let me know in the comments, was there anything I missed? What did you think of my Table Topics Evaluator performance? Would love to hear it. And if this channel has provided you with value, whether it was this video or other videos you've watched, please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. It really helps me grow and continue to put out this content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. People are more scared of public speaking than they are of dying. Is it just me? or is that wrong? Hey everyone, my name is Wade Patterson, and I am passionate about impactful communication. My YouTube channel has helped hundreds of thousands of people improve their public speaking skills, and I am thrilled to release my first ever course, which has taken my decade of learning about how to become a better public speaker and boiled it down to this theme of mastering the 5 essentials of public speaking. I know for a fact that if you can dial in these 5 elements and perfect them, you are going to be a phenomenal public speaker, head and shoulders above the rest, just by being aware of these things. By taking the time to digest the information in this course, practice it, and then put it to action through your speeches, you are going to become a better public speaker. As a bonus in this course, I sit down with the world's greatest freestyle rapper, Harry Mack, and one of the greatest keynote speakers in the world, Sean Kanungo, and I get their tips firsthand of what makes them incredible at what they do. If you agree that public speaking definitely should not be scarier than dying, sign up for my course. You won't regret it.